Most men will never admit this, but their lives are being silently destroyed by habits they don't even recognize. And the worst part, they believe they're strong, when, in reality, they're operating from weakness every single day. What if I told you that just a few hidden behaviors could be the reason you feel stuck, disrespected, or constantly frustrated? Today, you're going to discover 6 clear signs of a weak man, and more importantly, how to eliminate them before they define your future. Miss even one of these, and you might be sabotaging your own growth without realizing it. For centuries, Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus warned about a mistake that still destroys men today, trying to control what is outside, while neglecting what is within. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not over external events. Epictetus reinforced that it is not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. And when you truly understand this, everything starts to make sense. Because weakness does not begin in the external world, it begins in how you respond to it. Today, many men appear strong on the outside, but internally, they are completely disorganized. They are driven by impulses, distractions, the need for validation, and a lack of direction. And this shows up everywhere. Poor decisions, unstable relationships, lack of respect, and a constant feeling of being lost, even while trying to move forward. The difference between a weak man and a strong man is not in circumstances. It is in how he positions himself in front of them. And that is exactly what you are about to see now. Sign 1. A weak man is controlled by his emotions. He reacts before thinking, loses control easily, and allows anger, fear, or frustration to make decisions for him. It is like handing over the steering wheel of your life to every external situation. If someone criticizes him, he loses control. If something goes wrong, he collapses. If pressure appears, he retreats. But a strong man understands something essential. Feeling is not the problem. Not knowing how to handle it is. He observes before reacting. He creates space between stimulus and response. He chooses how to act. And it is in that space that self-control is built. The more you react automatically, the more predictable and weak you become. But the more you choose your response, the more power you build. Sign 2. A weak man lives surrounded by excuses. He always finds a reason not to act. Lack of time, lack of opportunity, lack of support. But deep down, all of this hides one uncomfortable truth. He does not want to take responsibility. Because taking responsibility means giving up the role of victim. And that requires courage. As long as you blame the environment, other people, or your past, you give away control of your life. You become dependent on factors that will never be fully under your control. Strong men do the opposite. They take responsibility even when they are not directly at fault. They ask themselves, what is within my control right now? And that question changes everything. Because responsibility is not about blame, it is about power. And the moment you take that power, you stop being passive and start building your own reality. Sign 3. A weak man constantly seeks approval from others. He measures his value based on other people's opinions. He adjusts his behavior to be liked. He avoids conflict to avoid rejection. And little by little, he drifts away from who he truly is. This is one of the most dangerous signs, because it looks harmless. It looks like politeness, like humility, but it is actually dependence. Every time you need to be accepted, you give up a part of yourself. And without identity, there is no strength. Strong men do not live for approval. They live by principles. They know who they are, what they stand for, and where they are going. Even if that displeases some people, they understand that respect does not come from pleasing everyone. It comes from standing firm. Now answer honestly. How many times have you held yourself back just because you were worried about what others would think? If that has happened to you, then there is something here that needs to change. And if you want to keep evolving, building discipline, mental clarity, and emotional control, subscribe now to the channel Stoic Spring. Because here, you develop something most people ignore. Your inner peace and your maturity. And that changes everything about how you live. But this is where most men get stuck. They understand what needs to be done, but they do not act. And that is where the real difference begins. Sign 4. A weak man avoids challenges. He escapes difficult situations, postpones important decisions, and always chooses the most comfortable path. In the short term, it feels safe, but in the long term, it destroys any chance of growth. Because everything that can transform your life is hidden behind the discomfort you avoid. Every challenge you ignore turns into insecurity. Every difficulty you avoid turns into fear. And over time, you build a limited life, not because you lack ability, but because you lack courage. Strong men understand that discomfort is not a warning to stop. It is a signal to grow. They act even when they do not feel ready, even when they lack confidence, because they know confidence does not come before action, it is built after it. And every time you face something difficult, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Sign 5. A weak man tries to bring others down to feel bigger. He criticizes, judges, points out flaws, always looking outward. But this is never about others. It is about internal insecurity. When someone needs to diminish another person, they are only trying to compensate for what they lack within themselves. And this comes with a cost. It destroys respect, damages relationships, and exposes weakness. Strong men do the opposite. They recognize value in others. They support, encourage, and build, not because they are naive, but because they are too focused on their own growth to waste energy comparing themselves. There is a clear difference here. A weak man competes constantly. A strong man evolves constantly. And when you change that focus, everything around you begins to change. Sign 6. A weak man lacks discipline. He depends on motivation, on mood, on the right moment. And because of that, he lives in cycles. He starts excited, then stops halfway. He promises but does not follow through. He plans but does not execute. And over time, something dangerous happens. He stops trusting himself. Because every time you break a promise you made to yourself, you weaken your own identity. Discipline is not about doing a lot. It is about doing what needs to be done every single day, even when you do not feel like it, even when no one is watching, even when there is no immediate reward. Strong men build standards. They turn actions into habits and habits into identity. And it is these invisible habits that create extraordinary results. Now think about this. If you keep repeating the same behaviors, your life will not change. But if you start eliminating these signs one by one, even slowly, you begin to build a new version of yourself. More control, more clarity, more respect, more strength. And this does not come from luck. It comes from a decision. The decision to stop living on autopilot. The decision to take control of your own mind. The decision to become someone who acts, even when it is hard. If this video made you reflect, then you are already ahead of most people. But do not stop here. Subscribe now to the channel Stoic Spring, because your life improves when you build the habit of protecting your inner peace and growing in maturity every single day. And tell me in the comments, which of these signs do you most need to eliminate from your life today? Because recognizing is the first step, but acting is what truly transforms. And in the end, strength is not something you have. It is something you build every single day,